Is it just me, or do you also crack it when the house is an absolute mess and it feels like you're the only one tidying up and the kids are just making more mess than they ever tidy or clean or put away? And sometimes, I don't know if you're like me as well, but sometimes I find people to blame, like my husband and obviously my kids, but never myself, because I feel like I'm the only one always tidying. Anyway, so I'm going to talk today about my weekend because we had a massive tidy up, and I want to tell you how it went and how we were able to get the kids on board so that it was fun and so that the whole house, it really needed like a giant tidy / clean. Like I'm talking the bathrooms, the floors, the kitchen, the lounge room, even down the back where my son and my husband's computer are. Like it was a lot. And I don't know if you guys have this feeling, sometimes things build up gradually and slowly, like bit by bit, and then you just get to this point where you're like, okay, that's it, everyone in the kitchen now, we need a family meeting, this is getting out of hand, I'm stressed. Anyway, I didn't do that, however, and like, to be honest, I have done that in the past 100%. But I now know not to do that because that stresses everyone else out, and I don't have to splash out my emotions and my stress onto everyone else. As I said, sometimes I do, but I'm so much more aware now that I've been learning about and teaching about emotional intelligence. So yeah, I just know that that's really unhelpful. Like that's a surefire way to get your kids and partner, if you have one, to just be as resistant and unhappy and stressed as you if you approach problems that way. So we could see this, actually, that's a really good point. We could see this as a problem. I don't know if you guys know, I love Dr. Ross Greene's work around collaborative and proactive problem solving. And he kind of almost like pitches the, I don't know what the right word is, the problem as like the thing that we're focusing on rather than the child or the other person. So rather than me saying to my kids, like, you guys make this place so untidy and what a mess and look at all your toys and like, I'm the one tidying up all the time, you're selfish, you need to help out more, blah, blah, blah. We put a roof over your head. Instead of doing that, we're kind of focusing on the problem as the thing that needs to be solved. He calls these challenges or issues unsolved problems, which I love. And because they are problems waiting to be solved. Anyway, so we had a problem that was waiting to be solved, which was the absolute chaos and zoo of the house. And yeah, it needed tidying, but it needed cleaning too. And I've just been so busy with my work. My husband's busy too. You guys know him. He's been on a few episodes, Alex, and he is on board with this way of parenting and this way of doing things. But yeah, we are both human and sometimes stuff builds up and then we're like, bleh. Anyway, so that was this weekend. If you're joining me actually for the first time, hello and welcome. I'm Stephanie Pinto. I'm the host of the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast, and I'm an emotional intelligence coach, author, speaker, writer, teacher, mentor, like everything to do with emotional intelligence, specifically for parents and educators. That is me. This is my jam. So you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see this book behind me, From Chaos to Connection. That's my book that came out in 2023 and still bumps back up onto the Amazon bestseller list every now and then. It is wild. So exciting. So if you want a really great resource that pulls all of this stuff together that I'm talking about on the podcast, on my YouTube and on my social medias, then that is a really great place to start, because that's all around how parenting with emotional intelligence raises kind, confident, resilient kids. I also want to quickly acknowledge the Darug Nation. They're the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, work, and record these videos and this podcast. I pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders and ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Okay, so let me tell you what I did do instead of yelling and snapping at everyone about how messy the house was, untidy and messy. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to hold it up for you guys watching on YouTube. It's just a half sheet of paper that I gathered my thoughts together about what really needed doing. And there's about 10, I want to say there's about 10 things here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. One of them actually, our youngest put on the bottom, which is be bored. Because by the end she was like, this is boring. And so what I think is really helpful for parents is that As I mentioned before, when we are stressed or upset or mad about something, first taking a moment to pause instead of just splashing that out across the people that you love and live with, and going, okay, what do I need? What do I want to have happen here? And what is not okay? Or what is the problem, right? What is not going to plan? And so I'm looking down at my list here. And what I did is I'm a list maker. And so I have little bits of, there's like papers all around me, and I do them on my phone too. But this one I was like, you know what? Let me just write down all the things that I would like to get done this weekend, ready for the week ahead, and see what needs to be done. What would I like to get done? It's almost like one of those grids. What are they called? The rubric, or like, that's not the right word. Where I was like, okay, these are the have to do's. Like, we really need to clean the toilets or the shower or whatever. These are the important ones that we really should do. And then these ones are like the nice to do. Anyway, I kind of just dumped them on a list. But then I was able to go, you know what? The kids could handle this one. They know how to do that one. My husband is fine to do this one, and I'll take these. So what I did, you guys can, see, it basically just has a list of load of washing. I actually did 2 loads of washing. I was very proud. Even though it's freezing here in Sydney because it's in winter, it's winter now. I got done 2 loads of washing. I have hang it out because they're separate. Like, I didn't want to lump it all together because then I would probably be left doing it all. So I was like, let me break this down into micro little tasks, because also that's more manageable for kids. You have to think like a kid if you want your kids to do something. I don't know if that makes sense. You have to think like a kid if you want to get your kids to do something, because you have to not only just put yourselves in their shoes and be like, how would I do this situation? Or what do they think of this situation? But like, imagine you are them and thinking like them in that situation. There's almost like 2 parts of it. So I was like, they're not going to want to do these big giant chores that they haven't yet done. They don't know how to do, or it's too overwhelmingly big for them. They're going to want to do little manageable, quick, easy things. So yeah, I had a load of washing, hang it out, clean the kitchen, take out the recycling, vacuum the floors, unload the dishwasher, put away the dry washing, clean the toilet and the sinks. And then I don't know why is this on there? Play with the kids. I think one of the kids asked me to put that on. That was, yeah. So it's like a fake one. And then my youngest wrote, be bored, halfway through when we were tidying. And so that was my list. And I said, guys, can you come and help me like pick out what you want to do from the list? And I also got my husband to look at the list. And I said, I think I remember saying to him something like, which ones are you happy to do? Which ones are easier for you? I don't mind. I'll take the rest. And this is why, I don't know if people are going to like argue or hate me over this, but I know that I have way more spoons than him. If you haven't heard the episode on spoons, I can't remember what number it is. I'll have to find it out. But I did an episode on the spoon theory, which is basically the capacity that we all individually have to get things done, our energy levels. It's different for kids versus adults. It's different for neurotypical versus neurodivergent people. And just people to people, like human to human, we have different levels of capacity, and that fluctuates day to day and moment to moment based on, oh my gosh, like our nervous system, our childhood, but you know what I mean? Like our what's under our iceberg, and so on and so on and so on. So I know that I can like smash out a whole lot more things, whereas Alex needs some breaks, and and his brain suits different tasks, basically. Same with my kids. So I can't remember. They chose to do a couple of things, and I was doing kind of I want to say the lion's share, like the big things, cleaning the kitchen, all the pots and pans from the night before, and I did the load of washing and stuff like that. Okay, so my point is, I don't want to just tell you about my to-do list and what I did with the kids on the weekend, because I'm sure you don't care. But like what comes from this, I think, is a couple of really good lessons. Number one, know your, the first thing I did say was, don't splash out your stress or any emotions onto the people that you love before you have paused and reflected on, why are you feeling this certain way? This is like emotional intelligence 101, okay? So self-awareness. Why am I feeling this way? What is up? What is the matter? What is the problem? what's getting in my way? Like, why am I feeling this way, basically? So I was like, the house is a mess. That clutters my brain. I don't like it. And really, I only have the weekends. I don't want to be doing this stuff during the week. I love my work so much, but I can do it from when I wake up and get the kids ready, and then I'm doing it until way past whatever is normal, 5 p.m. Like, I'm sometimes checking emails and creating content in the evenings. So not a good thing, but I love it, and it is what it is. And yes, I need to sometimes take some more breaks, but this is how I live for now. So all this house chores and stuff, I tend to do it on the weekend. So yeah, I was mindful not to just be like, right, you guys have made such a mess. Like, no, everyone TV off until this is done. Like, blah, 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 threat, consequence. So that also helped. I talk a lot about the fact that the way we show up in an interaction, let me start that again. The way that we show up in any interaction impacts and influences the people around us and how they respond to us. So because I said, all right, guys, come on in, we're going to have a tidying time or whatever I call it. I was like, we're going to do a bit of tidying. Yes, of course, I got some groans, and I was like, no, it's not going to take us long. There's 4 people. We're all going to split it up. Here's the list. Like, I was like, come on, we can do this. We're all good. We're Team Pinto. Like, won't take long. So that was my energy rather than like the obvious, the opposite, which is what I said before. Also, I think we need to, like I said, be mindful of our kids' capacity and our partners if we have one. Like, also, what are they, what are my kids doing today? They might have wanted to watch TV, go out with their friends or something like that. Like, I have to be mindful of that. And I think that is not going above and beyond. In any relationship, I would be mindful and compassionate to the other person's like plans for the day, right? So that's another thing. If I'm kind of getting to the point of like how to set up yourself and your kids, your family for success day to day with stuff that just needs to get done. It could be getting in the shower. It could be starting their homework. It could be like whatever, right? So be mindful of that stuff, mindful of how you're showing up and managing your own stress or frustrations so that you're not just like, this is the Steph show, everyone get on board. If not, I'll make you regret it. Like, we can't just, we're not at the tippity top of the triangle. We're kind of all a team together. We did put some music on that definitely helped. And we were laughing about it later because Alex's brain works in a certain way where like the more noise and chaos, the better for him. Whereas I was like, oh my God, my brain is going to explode. I almost went and got some headphones and put them on because he put on like, I can't remember what, I had a look at his phone because he connected it to this speaker we have, and it was some kind of playlist like kids' stupid party songs, or like there was, I don't know if you guys know the song that's called My Bum Is Itchy. Oh my God. Like, the songs that were coming out of his, the kids were dying laughing. It actually, like, yes, it did help. I have to concede that they were having fun and they were being silly and they were being loud. And then there was so many moments where they were all chasing each other around the kitchen, like my husband and the kids, not me, because I was just doing the pots and the pans. But like, I chose to allow that to happen because it was like fun and joy and it was bringing some, fun into somewhat of a boring kind of task. And yeah, like I handled the noise and the chaos, not for very long, because by the end I was like, all right, we can turn this off now. We're almost done. And but it worked, right? So these lists that I just like, what was on the other side of this? Oh, it's an Amazon thing I had to send back. Like, I just grab a piece of paper. It's not pretty, but I'm like, right, I've got to do da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, this is what needs to be done, or this is what I've done it before for, this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to go get a haircut, and let's plan it out, like why and what's getting in the way and what are some solutions and ideas. Or this assignment, it's too big, I don't want to start it, or I don't know what to do. And then we plan it out. I'm like, guys, maybe this is some of my speech pathology brain coming in, but I'm like, you cannot, it's so underrated, the power of putting stuff down on paper so that it is visual and so that it's sitting there and so that you can draw arrows and do like charts and bell curves. Like it's so, I don't know, I just find it really helpful for kids because, you know, when we are just speaking, that's very auditory. They have to listen, they have to hold the ideas in their brain long enough to think of solutions and not forget what you said or the idea that they had. Anyway, so I'm a huge fan of lists and grabbing paper and drawing or writing stuff out. And I know that really helps kids' brains too. And it definitely helps us on the weekend. And so the other thing I want to quickly show you, which is totally unrelated, which is this little notebook here. And I'm going to read it out because, you know, some of you guys are listening on the podcast and you're not watching on YouTube. So I'm going to read it out. And it says, hug and kiss mum, hug and kiss dad. And it's got 2 ticks. And so this was my 10-year-old writing a little list. I told him today he's homesick. And so I said, okay, like you can watch a bit of TV, yes, but we're not going to have like devices all day and we've got to balance it. What else do you want to do? I said, make a list of some things that you want to do during the day so that you are not, because it's going to be boring basically. And I can't remember what he said he did, but this was all that he mustered. Like this is all that he wrote on his list. It was hug and kiss mum, hug and kiss dad. And he's done those. So it just, I don't know. He's very much like me. He's like me and our youngest is like Alex. So we've kind of got one of each kid. It is like plain as day. They're chalk and cheese. And I love that he's like taken on my love of lists. And I think it really helps the brain sort out things and see solutions more clearly. And yeah, I love them. So maybe a couple of takeaways are, I did talk about obviously managing your own emotional reaction when you're faced with a problem or a challenging situation. Try not to splash that out on the people that you love. They don't need that and it's not their responsibility. Even if, let's say you're in a disagreement with one of your kids, then it's still your responsibility to manage your emotional reactions, right? They could have said something like called you a butthead or the meanest parent in the world or whatever, but you are still in control of your body and your actions and your words. And so I don't want to split hairs in getting into it. That's not this episode, but like they can influence how we feel, but it's still our responsibility for how we then show up and how we respond. We can yell and we can be like, don't you dare call me that, like give me your phone for a week or something, like, or we could be like, oh, that hit a nerve, like I'm so triggered and how am I going to respond to teach my kid why that's not okay to say and what they could do instead when they're upset that I've said no to whatever you said no to. I don't know. Okay, so let's park those takeaways. What's another takeaway? I think the sorting out your brain and the problem or how you're feeling on paper, and that could be like I was talking about with lists. It could be journaling, you know, at the end of a day, or when you're in the midst of a problem that just won't go away or something's really stressing you, writing it down and like getting it out of your consciousness onto paper. I think that can be so, so powerful. And I guess actually maybe the last takeaway is, this is also a reminder for me, is not to let things build up to the point where you are super stressed, burning out, and then, taking it out on the people that you love. So noticing when you're getting to like 30, 50% of, I don't know, stress or frustration, or this thing has been hanging around in your mind for a few days. And so it's like sitting with you and it's stressing you out. Don't let things build up, because the more that they build up, like we know how that ends, right? We usually blow up. We say and do things that we usually wouldn't. We get emotionally hijacked and we do stuff we regret. So trying to catch it early, it's almost like I'm circling right back around to the self-awareness piece of emotional intelligence. You need to know how you're feeling day to day, moment to moment, like hour to hour. Like, how are you feeling right now? What specific emotion are you feeling? Let me see if I can get out I'm holding this emotion wheel up for you guys who are watching. It's the emotion wheel that's on my website, and there's over 100 emotions, and there's 3 layers to it. It's beautifully colored. And it just helps you to be a bit more specific or nuanced with your emotional vocabulary. Check in with how you're feeling. Most of us don't even think about how we're feeling from like the moment we wake up to the moment our head hits the pillow, when we just feel exhausted and we don't check in. So checking in with how you're feeling and noticing the build or the kind of the expansion of the stress or the anxiety, right? Or it could be disappointment, whatever it is. So noticing that so that you are able to then actually recognize, like, what is the problem? What is the barrier? What is the challenge or the issue that is making you feel this certain way? And then what are you going to do about it? This kind of brings to mind, I'm going to wrap up with this. This brings to mind Professor Mark Brackett's work in emotional intelligence. He's the founding director of the Yale's Center for Emotional Intelligence. And I had him on the podcast a little while ago. He was incredible. He's amazing. And I've got his book, Permission to Feel, as well. And his approach, his acronym is RULER, RULER. First, recognize how you're feeling. Understand that's you. Understand why you're feeling that way, what has happened to cause you to feel, let's say hurt or frustrated or excited, right? L is label. So labeling it with something like an emotion wheel. He's got a great app called How We Feel, and I use that from time to time. E is express that. I didn't even talk about communication today in the episode, but man, like I communicated to my kids and Alex. I was like, right, house is a mess. We need to work together. Like I communicated without judgment and like shaming people and blaming people. So E is expressing how you're feeling or what the problem is to the right person at the right time or in the right way. And R, the final R, is regulate. So then you can regulate, take some steps, some coping strategies to actually bring yourself back to this kind of balanced state. So I love that. He does amazing work. He's got lots of resources. There is a bunch on my website as well, stephaniepinto.com. And I have been mentioning in the last few videos and episodes that I've got a parent course called From Reactive to Responsive Parenting. And that is currently on sale. It's usually $97 and I think it's for $17. That's right. Yep, $17 US. So please check that out. If you feel like a bit of a snappy, shouty parent and you do blow up at your kids and you don't do this whole like pause and reflect and communicate and like all of that emotional intelligence stuff, like that's totally fine because that was me a few years ago. And I wish I had this course back then. So please check that out. I'm going to put all the details in the show notes and under the YouTube video so you can have a look at that. And I encourage you just to take that next step. If you're like, this sounds really good and oh my God, that makes sense. Like, why can't I do that? Or I tried to do that, but then the tiger just comes out, then this is for you. So thank you for listening / watching. I hope you guys found my story about the weekend and the lists and everything a little bit insightful, maybe a bit funny, but just, helping you on your journey of raising emotionally intelligent kids and being an emotionally intelligent parent, because we all need all the help we can get. Okay, till next time, take care, and I'll see you very soon somewhere online, I'm sure.